Hello everybody and welcome or welcome back to the second shelf and to another recent reads on Sunday, my kind of sort of more or less regular Sunday video in which I discuss the books that I've just finished or started or am still working on. And it is the end of October, it's today the 29th. I'm finishing up Victober, trying to prepare for nonfiction November. So there will be a video up definitely with another TBR video, yes, on Wednesday, 1st of November. But for now, the books that I have finished for Victober. I have finished two more books for Victober. The first one is, there is a stain on the book. I'm not going to show you, it's on the backside. It looks like tomato sauce. I don't know. Anyway, so this is Goblin Market. Can you see this? By Christina Rosetti. This is a collection. This book is a collection, so a Goblin Market and other poems. But for Victober, I committed to reading the Goblin Market, which is in this edition, I don't know, about 20-something pages. But I also dip in and out other poems in this collection and even one that is not in this collection because I'm buddy reading this with Terri from Miss Terri B or Miss Terri Reads. And we wanted to read two other poems, one of which was not in this collection, but never mind, it's too much information. But Goblin Market. Goblin Market was published in 1862 and it was recommended by Kate over at Kate Howe, and I read it for the prompt she recommended it for, Outsider, a book or a story that features an outsider. And she spoke so highly and with so much enthusiasm about this poem that I thought I have to read it. And as you know, if you follow my channel, I don't read that much poetry, so that was also something to add to Victober. I try always to at least add one poem to my Victober read. So Gina Rosetti was unknown to me, so I could have also read it for the prompt author, new to you author. And Goblin Market is a narrative poem, something that I like because it's easy to understand. It's just a story told in verse, basically, about two sisters, Lizzie and Laura, and the Goblin Man. The Goblin Man tried to seduce them to buy their fruit. There is all types of fruit. I mean, biblical references. Yes, there are apples, but grapes, cherries, what have you. And they look delicious, and so one of the sisters is indeed seduced to buy the fruit, and that is not going well, of course. And then the other sister is there to try to save the fallen one, so to speak. I mean, yeah, I'm trying not to spoil you, which is probably stupid for a poem, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the language was fantastic. It was very evocative. The imagery of the Goblin Man with their rat faces and or rabbit faces or snake faces, and the seduction, the temptation of this fruit. I really enjoyed it. And that's why, that's also the reason why I decided to read more of the poems in this collection. I have to say, not all of the poems are narrative poems where they tell a story. So I think it was a good combination for me of a poem where I really enjoyed the language, but the structure and the style of the poem was also something just for me, which really fitted well for me as a reader. So I'm very happy that I read this poem and that I bought this collection. The next book I finished was also buddy read with Joe Smith. and I don't have a physical copy. I couldn't get a physical copy, so I will put a picture up here, and that is Jill by Amy Delwin, published in, it was published later, definitely, 1884, so towards the end of the Victorian era. And I read this for the prompt, Katie's prompt, actually, New Woman, which is this concept of kind of proto-feminist type of woman. And I thought that was really interesting. And Amy Delwin is a Welsh author, not reading many Welsh authors, certainly not for Victober. So was a good pick. And it's the story, now let me first tell you what the story is about. It's the story of Jill, the title character, who is the daughter of kind of a country gentry family, and the mother dies, the father remarries, and then you have this typical premise of the bad stepmother with two daughters, and it's just, bad situation. So Jill, the father is not interested really in his daughter, so Jill decides to take a hike. And she has this whole plan of going to London and working there as a lady's maid. So it's not just, packing your bags and going, but she has this whole career plan worked out, which is why this book qualifies for the topic of New Woman. So indeed, she goes, finds employment, and then she's 17 or something when she leaves, and the book is between her 17th and it's her 25th, 24. And she tells the story when she is in her mid-20s, looking back at her adventures, so to speak. So you know already that everything will work out because she can tell the story when she's 25. So various employments, they go on travels, they have all kinds of misadventures and adventures. And I would say it was okay, but I did not love it. I know that a lot of people love this book, and I can see why, because the main character is really captivating. She is interesting and complex and not always good. So she has this morally gray attitude at times, which I find interesting, rather than this, either villain, everything she does is bad, or the goody good, she's always good and almost, she has this shining glory around her. Jill is not like that. She is kind of, sometimes mean, but good at other points and really determined. So I definitely liked the main character, but the plot was a bit meh. The story, it was good in the beginning, but then there were kind of plot holes and things that were not really developed or just abandoned, and I don't know why it's there. And so the story as such was, the execution of this premise and of this character was just not really working that well for me. It's not a bad book. And certainly if you're interested in reading something, different, Victorian literature where the heroine is really different in terms of what she does and this whole idea of a career. But yeah, it was just not quite there, unfortunately, but I'm still happy that I read it. So don't get me wrong. Okay, so those are the two books for October that I finished. What else is on my reading schedule? First of all, I am just not feeling this one, Christina de Pizan, the Book of the City of Ladies. It's one of the books in my 12 classics that I want to read, which I won't be able to because this was the book for September. I didn't get to it because I was ill and stuff, and I still haven't finished it. It was published in 1405 and translated from the French by Rosalind Brown Grant. And it is about this nun, Christine de Pizan, who reads kind of sexist, misogynistic literature of her time. And this is her counter, where she builds a city of ladies with all kinds of ladies, mythical or real life ladies, populating this city in order to make a case for what women can do. And I'm just struggling with this, and I'm not feeling it at the moment. So I'm really sorry for people who were expecting me to film a review. I will try in November or December to finish this, but in October it just didn't happen. It was just not working. I will pick. I had 12, as you know, 12 classics. That is not going to happen. So I'm now aiming for 10, and this would be number 9. And then I picked one more of the list, and that is this one. Margaret Cavendish, The Blazing World and Other Writings, first published in 1666. And The Blazing World is the first, at least in my opinion, the first science fiction novel about an utopian society populated only by women, called The Blazing World. So I will try until the end of the year to finish, trying to focus here, to finish these 2. If you are reading along with me, again, I'm sorry for not finishing The City of Ladies and for not finishing all 12, but now sticking to 10. And for next year, already making plans for my reading next year. And I will pick up the classics list again, but I will change it slightly and pick only 5 or 6, so that I have one every 2 months or something, because it was just too much. It became too much of a chore, if you know what I mean. I'm really interested in reading these classics, but I need more breathing room. So we will try to finish these 2 until before the end of the year, and that will mean 10 classics instead of 12. There you go. Then the books that I have started, and let me look at my list, which one comes first. Yes, the non-fiction book, because I'm also further in. I started this, I think, 1.5 weeks ago, and that is Dopesick by Beth Macy, published in 2016. And this is the horrible movie cover, or not movie, TV series cover, but I couldn't get another one. And I'm buddy reading this with Heidi from my reading life. And this is Beth Macy is a journalist. She is living in Virginia, in Roanoke, and worked for the Roanoke Times as a journalist. And she covered the opioid crisis for, I would say, 10 years or something. And this is a book about that. Dopesick means that you have withdrawal, that you are sick because you don't have your drugs, or you know, the drugs have left your system and you can't replace it, so you are sick. And she starts in the 1990s and goes all the way up to 2017. And of course, Purdue Pharma is one of the focus point, but there are books specifically about Purdue Pharma. This is not a book about the pharma company only. It is much broader. It talks about how it started, the difference between the rural and the suburban addiction pattern. It takes 7 or 8 people who died from overdoses as a kind of example to exemplify what has happened, and taking these lives and the loss of these lives as a vantage point into the story, and trying to connect dots and discover patterns is extremely well researched, I would say. It explains what is going on certainly for somebody like me who is an outsider and I don't know that much about the opioid crisis in the US, we don't have a similar thing in Europe, at least not in Germany or Holland. So it's really going in depth, but at the same time, it's not an info dump. It's extremely well written and really takes you through those 20 years of that crisis and that pandemic. So I have a third left, and I think it's a fabulous book. So I'm really I'm really engaged in the read. And then a book that I just started, another buddy read with Adam from Memento Mori. And we picked up The Robber Bride by Margaret Atwood, published in the 1990s, I think, 1993. And this book is on my 1001 books by women authors that I want to read before I die list, as are the two classics, by the way, of course. And Adam was in the mood for some Margaret Atwood, and I was in the mood to pick up another book from the 1001 list for sure, but also in the mood for a good story. So The Robber Bride is a twist on the Grimm brother fairy tale, The Robber Bridegroom, where you have this woman who is betrothed to a robber, and it's kind of gruesome story, and this one is twisting the story on its head. So it's The Robber Bride. The villain in the book is a woman called Xenia, and she wrecked the life and the marriages of quite some people, and 3 of those women formed a friendship, and the story is told from their perspective. And I've read maybe 100 pages or something in just one sitting, because I have to tell you, it was such a joy to have just an author knowing what she is doing and just tell a story that she invented. It's not autobiographical. It's not heavy on the message. It's not experimental. It's not da-da-da. It's just a good story. And it's well told so far and engaging. The characters are interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably too conventional for some of the books that I try to read, but it was just the right book at the right time. I'm very much enjoying my time with it. So these were the Victober books I've finished, the books that I'm not finished, and the books that I've started. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I am behind with my comments. I know that I didn't manage to answer them last week. I will try again next week, but still, please know that I'm looking forward to your comments, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.